Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Jake Ludington here at OSCON on the Data and Java event day. And one of the things that many people need to do when they're developing applications is deploy them for more than one mobile device. And I'll let you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about how Rhomobile can do that.
Thanks, Jake. I'm Jay Mellman. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Rhomobile. And Rhomobile was founded with this very premise in mind, that people should be able to write once and deploy anywhere. And we've created a framework where people can actually use their web skills. That would be HTML and, in this case, Ruby, but really it's a scripting language, and deploy them and target them to any device. The idea is that in general, you should be able to write once, and then we'll handle the compilation and deployment down to the various devices, so that you can deploy to iPhone, an iPad, you can deploy to the Android markets, BlackBerry, Windows Phone 7, Windows Mobile, and all the rest. And we handle all the hard work so that the developer doesn't have to do it.
And I understand that there are other platforms on your roadmap, WebOS being among them, and Symbian as well?
Symbian, that's right. I mean, the idea is we wanted to handle the highest volume platforms first, but because we target the enterprise, we actually have requests for quite a few platforms that often are not on the top of developers' lists. So things like Symbian, things like Windows Phone 7 already, things like WebOS. So we'll be producing those.
How is what you're doing different than, say, just deploying an HTML5 app that basically runs in a browser skin?
Well, you know, besides the fact that not all the browsers render the same and HTML5 isn't the same across platforms, the idea is we want people to use HTML and HTML5. The goal here is to be able to use it, though, for what it's good for, which are the views. And so a Rhodes app, a Rhomobile app, will actually use an HTML and HTML5 to create the views. But then you use a scripting language to be able to deal with the actual controllers that define the business logic. So you get all the benefits of working with HTML, all the great widgets, all of the fact that there are 50 million programmers who know HTML5, but then you get all the benefits of us compiling it down and you getting a native app. So we kind of view it as kind of having your cake and eating it too, and not having to make that trade-off of, gosh, do I want to have it cross-platform with HTML or not? We think that you can actually do both.
So you're doing compiled script as opposed to doing the scripting on the fly.
Yeah. So we actually take the code and then byte compile it all the way down to run on the native device. And included in that are things like an embedded database and an object relational manager, so that we can actually have synchronized offline data and data management on the device itself. And that actually has a lot of benefits. It means that the programming model is more straightforward. I suddenly don't have to take an HTML programmer and teach them SQL. But more than that, I actually get the benefit of then the offline data when I need it. So I can connect and get enterprise data, but then I can have the application actually working. That isn't possible really today using any kind of HTML5 or any other framework, but you have that capability with Rhodes and Rhomobile today.
And one of the things that for like consumer application developers don't necessarily need to worry about this as much, but in the enterprise, being able to do things like remotely wipe data when somebody leaves the company or something like that, and that's something that Rhomobile allows you to integrate in an app as well?
So we actually have been, we're very customer centric, and so we've listened to the customers as they go down this path. They start with, I need to write once and deploy the app. And then they say, oh, but really I need to get this data. I need to bring in and integrate with the enterprise data. So we created our product, Rhodes, now going to be called RhoConnect. And then people said, well, I really need to be able to do this in the cloud. I need to actually have a deployment place because it's really difficult for me to manage all this myself. And then the last thing they said is, now I need to manage it. I've got the app, I've connected to the enterprise, I've deployed it to my users, but how do I manage it? And so we created App Gallery, which is really the way that customers can begin to create their own enterprise app stores. And it gives them the capability not only to define entitlement and create their gallery, but then also deal with things like wiping data remotely or the applications remotely once someone leaves the company or if they lose their phone. So, you know, we can manage the entitlement, make it easy for them to get it to the customers that they need to, and then actually still maintain all the corporate security and compliance that they want to maintain. So we created that suite of products so that we make it very easy for an enterprise to be able to, as we put it, mobilize their organization and mobilize their applications.
So how are you guys different than the organizations that essentially kind of end up contracting, consulting, and doing a lot of the work for you?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think of the open source community, that tends to be something that people do. They want to write in this case, they want to write the applications. We started off with the premise that that wasn't going the way to build a really large and successful company. And so what we've done is we've actually taken a focus on developing partners and independent software vendors who will actually take this forward. So our goal is to actually, we do sell directly to the enterprise, but then we work with partners, consultants, developers who want to actually write these applications and whose business model is based on either consulting or data or systems integration. And so we have a certified partner program that that people can become a member of, where we will actually introduce customers to them and vice versa. And then we work with a lot of independent software companies who kind of get the model. They need to write to all these different platforms, and that's their model to actually go into the enterprise. And by using Rhodes and Rho Connect and the entire Rho suite, it's a win-win. Right? We can focus on technology, we can focus on the complexities of keeping up with all the different platforms, all the different software versions and the like, and they can focus on actually moving the applications themselves forward, and the business can focus on, hey, we just need to have these apps and make our users more productive.
All right, well, there you have it, a solution that will help you take your application and put it across many mobile devices. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks very much, Jake.
LockerGnome coverage of OSCON is brought to you by HP.